Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to continue on with this week's theme of title tracks, looking at songs that share their name with the title of the album. Today we're going to be looking at Converge's 2012 album, All We Love, We Leave Behind. Converge is a band that I have a rocky relationship with. I sometimes enjoy their output, but sometimes it's just a bit too post-metal-y for me. I know that's a vague description, but we'll talk about that later if that's how the song turns out. Let's dive into this. All We Love, We Leave Behind by Converge. The drums came in a lot more energetic than I was expecting, given so each chord is held for 2 bars. Ooh, a bit of a punkier vibe there. Love that bass line. It's a very intense song though, that's for sure. Up on the bell of the ride, digging that sound. That's a good song. Yeah, I think that's probably the most receptive I've been to Converge yet. I mean, that's a straight up post-hardcore track right there. That's right up my alley. Let's see, kicking it off. I want to talk about rhythm. This is really important because the song starts out feeling exceptionally slow. I mean, we have, like I mentioned, it was this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it takes its time. It plays a chord and really allows it to linger for a while before we hit the next chord, and it feels like it's going to be a really slow track. I was actually a little concerned about this. I was like, okay, it's only 4 minutes. We're not in store for a 15-minute Doom track at 30 beats per second, 30 beats per minute. Could you imagine 30 beats per second? That's ridiculously fast. But it feels like it's going to be this slow, dragging track. The title already has a melancholic edge to it. And I was like, okay, this is it. Let's re-gear for this. And we get a couple repetitions of that, and then the drums come in. Tom heavy, really fast. And I'm like, okay, geez, this took a massive turn. Where is this song going now? Because we have two opposing rhythmic feels here. We have something that feels like it's dragging, very slow pace to the chords, and a very fast pace to the drums. With only 2 bits of information, though, I can't really anticipate anything at this point. It isn't until the second guitar lick comes in and we have that fast moving line that I'm like, okay, this is it. They're lining up with the drums. This is the feel of the song. The chord progression, what presented originally in the track as the main focus, was a bit of a red herring. That is how the chord progression continues to exist alongside this song, but it doesn't define the song's speed or intensity or tempo or pacing or any of that. It was a way to create a feeling of sorrow, of dragging, of the world crushing down prior to getting into a different type of crushing weight. The rest of the song, though, is a flurry of speed and intensity. We never really lose this constant eighth note run. It's a guitar or it's a drum. Usually some instrument is pushing this forward. Even the bass guitar gets on it in the chorus, I think it is, with a nice, we have a little bit of a foundational idea. It's too low for me to really tell if it's just pedal tone or if it is a little bit of movement in a lower register that I just have a little trouble discerning pitches in. But the second half of the bass line is this walk up and walk down. It's a very cool, and it isn't just like straight up, straight down linear fashion. It's a very cool lick that I personally want to learn now. First of all, just so I can hear what's actually going on there. Once I see some sheet music, I might be able to discern some of the pitches a little bit better. But it is a very cool lick. And it is also very fast, very quickly moving. But we also have in the second verse, I think it was the tremolo picking on the guitar off on the right. And this brings its own type of speed because tremolo picking is just basically picking as fast as you can and using the production of the instrument, the guitar tone, all of your effects and all of that to sort of disguise the picking itself, so you lose that ultra abrasiveness from that and you just get the collective sound of all of the effects. Well, you can use tremolo picking just straight too, but in this case we are using it alongside the effects and it erased the abrasiveness of all of those attacks in order to create an atmosphere. So that brings its own type of speed because it feels like this person is they're playing on overdrive. They're playing faster than anyone else in the song. Granted, I don't think most people are going to receive it like that, but I do think that when we start talking about number of attacks per bar, and we have 1 attack every 2 bars, and then 16 attacks every bar, sorry, 8 attacks every bar when we hit the eighth notes, and then the tremolo picking is just as fast as this person can play. We have this ramping up of rhythmic intensity through the course of this song that I think does great at creating the sense of elevation as we journey through it. Now, there's also textural intensity. We start off with a guitar tone that's fine. It's got a bit of grit to it, but to me, it implies more weight than anything else. There's not much of an aggression to it. But some of the guitar tones we have moving forward into the track have quite a bit of bite to them, a lot of fuzz. With the tremolo picking, we get this wall of sounds. And then we also have the vocals, which are kind of hardcore yells with a lot of compression put on them. It's a very aggressive sound, and despite sort of being a bit more familiar to me, I still couldn't make out a single word from it. I kind of wish there was a little bit more movement to it. It isn't fully monotonous, but it does kind of reach that area. And it became background noise against what my ear gravitated towards most often, which was what the guitars were doing, the melodic licks of the guitars, or the bass in the chorus. I definitely gravitated towards that. So I'm kind of curious what the vocals are singing about. We'll touch on the lyrics in a bit. But just generally speaking, most of the instruments here are presenting a sound of compression, of distortion, of destruction. And I know like this is just metal in general. But I feel like here at least something about the way that we build into the song, the title of the track, I feel like pain is going to be something that is a theme that we're going to be exploring, and I can feel that in the aggression of the instrumentation. It's a type of anger, which, yeah, I mean, I describe a lot of metal as angry, and 9 times out of 10, it's not thematically relevant, but I'm kind of banking on it being here. Maybe this is just another one of those cases of I hear angry metal music, and the song isn't really about anything angry at all. But I do get a lot of aggression in this, and it matches the rising intensity of the rhythmic element too. It's not like we start off with the most intense sounds. We build into them, just like we build into the more intense rhythmic ideas. Finally, I want to bring up some melodic ideas, or no, not there really isn't a lot of melody in here. We have nice melodic riffs, and then the moving bass line in the chorus, and that's kind of it. It's really a textural, atmospheric track, which is on par for a lot of what Converge does. But I want to focus on one harmonic thing that goes on in here. For the most part, this song has a crushing weight to it, primarily from the production side of things, but I do feel like there is intensity and aggression to the harmonies as well. The chords, just listening to them at the beginning, have an edge of dreariness to it, maybe a type of sorrow. But eventually we get into these really tense chords. And I think it's just 2 notes that have a lot of tension between them. It's very dissonant. I don't remember where this was. I don't think this was the chorus. So my mind's saying probably verse 2. This to me is the ultimate display of pain, of anguish, of anger, like a sorrowful anger, not a rage. And it really colored my experience with this, because prior to that, I had, more of a generic sort of take on all of what's going on. And at this point, I heard these guitar dyads, and I was like, okay, this is painful. And that completely changed my perspective on all of this, what everything might have represented. And I think that's the point when this became a song that I enjoyed. Maybe not sonically, though there are a lot of elements to it. I do like the drums and general guitar riffage, and even the tremolo picked section, the bass work. There's some cool parts. The vocals, they're fine. I don't dislike them, but I wouldn't seek them out. And those noisy guitar bits are not really my cup of tea, but thematically relevant. And like I said, a key element in switching this song from just something that I was like, okay, this is a fine track. It's doing some cool things to, okay, there's some artistic merit here. This isn't just a song. This, most of the decisions here seem like, or most of the choices here compositionally seem like they're decisions to benefit some larger idea. And that was a nice turning point because I came really close to the end of the track, which, speaking of 4 minutes, man, this felt really short. I don't know if it's because it took us a minute and a half to get to the first verse, which means that there was only 2.5 minutes of vocals. You get through a lengthy intro and then the rest of the song feels short because, there isn't much of a rest of the song to go on. But I was really surprised when it was over. I was like, oh, geez, that's it. We did have a cool little revisiting of an idea at the end of the track with new context. We had that disjointed rhythmic post-chorus, I guess we could call it. And we brought that back with expanded chords. Instead of just playing them shortly and abruptly, we allow them to ring out, and it really fills the space where previously there was more room between each of the notes. I don't know what to read into that yet. It might just simply be, hey, we wanted to play this again, but not play it exactly again. Bring a little variation to the table, but I don't know if there's a thematic reason for it. I'm going to hit some lyrics on this, see what's going on there, and then we're going to wrap this one up. Yeah, this is a fairly straightforward song that is a goodbye to somebody who has passed. While they were alive, they were a pretty big support or a rock for the narrator. The first stanza says, "Your roar of love slayed my despair and ripped me from my path that led to nowhere. You shook me from my sleep that willed me to die. A final goodbye, all we love we leave behind." So yeah, I mean, the first 6 lines here are very straightforward. This person was in a dark place. They were on a path that was taking them nowhere. Basically, they had no prospects in their life. And it says that they even, they had a sleep, a slumber. I'm going to assume this is a figurative sleep, maybe a type of, metaphorical dreariness. And they had no will to live through it. And from all of this other person took them from that and gave them purpose, gave them light, gave them a path that went somewhere, gave them, it even says, "You slayed my despair." It says, "But unfortunately, all we love, we leave behind," which I think is a very powerful statement. Because it is true. There is no way to love everything forever. We don't have immortality. Everything we love will eventually be left behind. I feel like it's a little melancholic, but positive too. I don't know how to explain that one though. Let me get through this. Maybe I'll come back to that line. The second verse, "Nothing in this world could ever compare to the hole in my heart and the weight in the air when you took to the sky and I lost you to time." So the relationship between these two were really strong, and this person feels like there is a hole in their heart now that they're gone. This takes us to the chorus. It says, "I'm so sorry that I missed your lives while I was on the road learning to survive. You deserved so much more than I could provide. Thank you for loving me and bringing light to my eyes. All we love, we leave behind." So this is interesting because there was some distance between the two of them. I assume when he says "on the road" that this was maybe autobiographical, and they're talking about touring. And, basically says, "As much as you meant to me, we didn't spend as much time together as I would have hoped." Even at one point saying, "You deserved so much more than I could give." And that's it. That's the whole song right there. Like I said, it's a farewell song to someone recently passed who meant a lot to, presumably, the singer. But I suppose this could also just be a narration, too, about a fictional person. So yeah, definitely pain, sorrow, weight, but there's also a lot of positivity in here too. Even though I think most of the language is negative, it still is what typically is brought about with memories of someone, which is bittersweet, remembering the good times and having the sorrow come in knowing you can't make any more. And I think that that bittersweet element is what I'm feeling in that line, all we love, we leave behind. It's not saying, it could be pessimistic, right? It could take this in a very negative way and say, this is the natural fate of people who have love for others. So we shouldn't feel love because then you're just going to have your heart broken. There is definitely a positive side to this, but it's tinged with sorrow, which makes sense. And I think that duality, it's not really present in the song though, is it? The song is just anguish, it's grief, it's pain. It starts out heavy and slow and picks up in intensity. Yeah, I'm digging this side of Converge. Kind of makes me wonder what the running tally is for my enjoyment of songs that I've heard from them. I think for the most part, I'm not a huge fan, but songs like this, they're really good reminders that even in the music that we don't always gravitate to, that you can always find stuff that's going to click with you. And it's why it's important to dig in the places that you typically don't, because there can still be some diamonds found in those areas. I don't know if that metaphor works. Do we find diamonds while digging? I don't know. These are my thoughts, though, on Converge's All We Love, We Leave Behind. What did you think of this track? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that you'd like to add on to what I said or correct me on? Maybe you have your own opinion or perspective on this track. Please put all of that and any other thoughts you have down into the comment section. Above that, in the description box, find a link to Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. All right, that wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.